men trying to get up on the A-line, but a lot of the women were having trouble riding up there. Were you able to ride up that section?
The steps, yeah, only 2 of my laps I had a clear run and got up there fine to an absolute roar of the crowd. They were loving it. I guess most of the time I got stuck behind people, and then you don't get a free run. It is pretty hard to clear that, so I don't think many people managed to get up there today. It is quite tricky, and straight after that you've got a pretty long climb as well, so if you do put too much effort in, it is kind of maybe takes away your edge on the next climb, but it's certainly quicker if you can get up those steps, and the crowd were willing me, so I had to make sure I did it.
And was it windy? I mean, did you notice the wind while you're out there, or is it only in some sections?
No, it was out the start was pretty horrible up the first road, and then even as you come around the start loop and the feed zone around that field, there's a constant kind of headwind, and on the fire road as well, you can certainly feel it. And I think trying to stay in a bunch and get behind people would have been a great tactic, but on the flats they were just going up a bit too fast for me today.
So I heard from you earlier that you said the passing is quite difficult, apart from the hills and stuff there, where you've got a bit more of a width of the track. But in a lot of the single track, you're just having to follow the train. Yeah,
there was absolutely no way. The first lap, I really was trying to pass people, and actually crashed on the first descent trying to get past someone. Just caught someone's back wheel. I don't think my slightly wider than normal cross-country handlebar width helped me either. There just didn't seem to be any space. I did manage to get past someone on the Warrygill Canyon section, which was a bit of a sketchy manoeuvre, but I finally managed to get there. But yeah, it is, once you get stuck behind one, it is pretty damn hard to pass, unless you've got the legs to pass them on the climbs.
Now this section here, Warrygill, very, very famous part of the course. It's almost like a pinball alley going in there. You remember the days of Caprun kind of thing, yeah. But a little bit larger version of it. A little bit sketchy down there at speed.
It is. It's really slippery, and even on a dry day, I think that's always going to hang a little bit wet. And it was certainly fun. It's almost like a bit of a downhill section. You really could carry good speed and use the bankings to get good lines. So a real fun section, and certainly kind of an unusual section that you'd see in a cross-country course. It's pretty fun. No course tape, and it looks really natural, and yeah, fun little section.
A couple little bus stops on the way down, and then you hit another little climb to take you over to Medusa.
Climb, that's a steep one, that.
Sorry, short. It's not that long though, is it?
It's just steep.
Yeah, but it is very steep, true. And just looking at this group of 9, this is what I thought would happen at the men's race, that we'd have a great big train up front. It's interesting to see that 2 guys have really broken away, Kulhavi and Absalon, in these kind of conditions. I'm just wondering how long they will stay out there. We saw in the women's race that, Ren Cheng-Wan really suffered from being out the front and doing a lot of the work in the wind, and it's hard to really pick what's going to happen. We're still half race distance, but it does look like a pretty tough day out there to be out on your own.
Yeah, I think if you can get in a group and work together on those flat sections, it definitely will help. But also as well, on some of this technical stuff, if someone makes a mistake and you're in a group, you're going to lose a lot of time because you kind of stall each other, whereas if you are out in front and you've got a clean run on all of the course, you can carry a much more consistent speed. So if your group's strong and together and you work together, it's good, but if one of them makes a mistake, you'll lose time then from just getting stuffed up from the person in front of you making a mistake.
Yes, very much so. And when we see the riders go through that last AB section, 2 or 3 of them took the simpler line just for that reason. If someone makes a mistake, you get all tangled up there, and you don't want to have your race ruined by someone else's mistake. But that is quite a big group there. 9 riders working their way down towards the canyon. And in here we've also got Annika Beerten, who was out there today also racing the 2nd cross-country World Cup of her career. How did it go for you today, Annika?
Yeah, it went not too bad. It went a little bit better than in Pietermaritzburg, where I was really struggling racing cross-country after racing 4-cross the night before. But just like Tracy said, the speed is so high in the women's as well, and the first lap was just kind of horrible for me. There were a lot of crashes and people piling up in places, and also the same for me, crashing with one other girl in a turn, and but I survived, and I still had a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great track as a legacy track for the public to ride on day in, day out for the other 51 weeks of the year. It is a lot of fun to ride, but it's another thing to race something that's fun to ride.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a whole different thing racing this than doing just a couple of laps in training. The climbs are so steep and long, and for us that's still the most difficult things, getting the power down on the steep climbs. The downhills are fine, but the climbs are quite hard.
Now, in your team, of course, the Milka Trek racing team, you've got a number of men in the race today. Have you been out watching them and seeing how they're going? Yeah,
you guys is doing pretty well. I think he's around 25th position at the moment. He's from Finland, national champion. And we got Jelmer Pietersma from from Holland, and I'm not sure, he was a little bit in the back back, but he seems to be pulling back up. So let's hope he finds his rhythm and able to move up a couple of positions.
Well, we've just clocked over 1 hour in the men's race as we watch Julian Absalon descend through the Medusa section. As I mentioned before, if they do quicker than 1 hour 40, it will be a new race record, more than 23 kilometres an hour average, which is pretty fast, as I mentioned, with places like Offenburg and Champery. It's around 18, 19. So this is a very, very fast track. You did pick a fast track to race, ladies, but it is great to see you out there, and really appreciate you coming in, and congratulations. We're going to see you at some other races?
Only the sprint race in Offenburg. That will probably be my last race, and then back to the focus on 4-cross. So
back to the focus on 4-cross, and I know, Tracy, we talked about perhaps Nova Mesto between La Bresse, but we'll let time pass before we make that decision. Well, ladies, thanks very much for joining us in the commentary booth here at Freecaster, and all the best for the coming up races.
Thank you very much.
So we're going to regroup now on our leaders and see where they are. The third place riders now coming down. This is the group of 9 we've been following for the last couple of laps. And leading this group, it looks like it's still Nino Schurter trying to lead down through here, and Manuel Fumik sitting right in behind him. Those two have been doing most of the work. Stefan Tempier now moving up towards the front of this group as well. But look at them wending their way down. This is 9 riders, all very close together. And they'll be coming down into the tech zone. We did see a replay before of someone there having a bit of a problem in tech zone 1, but these guys should all be able to get through tech zone 2 without too much of an issue. Schurter, Fumik, Tempier, Fontana. Right behind there looks like it's Barry Stander. And this is the race for third place. That's Sousa, then Stander, then Wells, the 3 specialised riders together, and then 21 is Thomas Litcher for the Feld Oaksel team, and then we've got Moritz Milatz, also riding for the BMC team this year. He used to be a Multivan Merida team last year, now riding for BMC.
Ben Thomas there, a tall racing coming up through the finish line, 3 laps to go. Looks like Jose Antonio Hines trying to make...
Well, Julian Absalon at the end of the last lap managed to pull out a minute over third place, so there is a gap of 1 minute between second and third. So it really is a matter of Absalon getting away, and even Coolharvey getting away more. And it's going to be really a bit tough race between first and second on the last few laps. But I think it will be kind of tough now for anyone out of this group of 9 to make their way across to second place. We'll have to wait and see. There is 2.5 laps or 2 1/4 laps to go. But a lot of fascination for the minor placings on the podium.
Now you can see actually on the big screen the camera illustrates it quite nicely. It's different to have to change the focus in the right car. Ollie Beckinsale goes through there.
And this is an interesting ride here. This is rider number 40, and this is Ollie Beckinsale. He's the Grand Champion from Great Britain. He's done a lot of great work in mountain biking in the UK for many, many years. I was speaking before about Nick Craig. Well, Ollie Beckinsale is pretty much of the next generation, but he's been around for a long, long time. And let's see, born in 1976. In fact, he's turning 31, I think it is. Let's see, 24, no, 35. So turning 35 later this year. So he's been around a long time, and is a great champion of the sport from the UK, and he's having a great ride, sitting in the top 25 right now behind Florian Vogel. There's Coolharvey getting up over the steps. And we'll see now with the clock there, he just went through at 54. No, we lose the clock. As we'll be able to see the gap here. Remember last time coming up this section, Julian Absalon was entering the bottom of the track just as Coolharvey was getting to the top, just past our UCI photographer there. So we'll see if that's still the case, or whether Coolharvey's managed to answer the call. He would have been getting time checks and splits from his team. Well, is that not quite? So it looks like he's pulled away a little bit more now on Absalon. Yes, he has. It would be about another 15 seconds. So Coolharvey has answered the challenge, and now Absalon has the unenviable position of being caught between the race lead and the chase group. Could this be just another second place for Julian Absalon? I mean, for most people, second place is a wonderful thing. But for a man like this, who's won 22 World Cup titles, 2 Olympic gold medals, and innumerable world championships, He's had a fair share of second places since Offenburg last year, and I think he would love to get a win under his belt. Maybe it'll be Offenburg next week if it isn't here. So don't forget, we are in Offenburg next week. If you are in Central Europe, it is very easy to get to that part of the Black Forest, just across the border from Switzerland, up there into Offenburg. Beautiful part of the world, and certainly worth a visit. A great track. That looks like Brian Lopes getting onto the wooden bridge there. So Brian Lopes is heading out on his lap as the other riders are starting to head back in. So a big disappointment for two of the big Swiss names in the sport, the under-23 world champion Matthias Flukiger and Ralph Naff, both out of the race after the first lap, or actually the second lap. So it's a big disappointment for those two Swiss riders. Would not like to be a Swiss national selector picking the Olympic team next year. They have so many talented riders. Now with Lutsch coming to the fore, and we've got Martin Goujan as well. Okay, so here's our chase group being led by Manuel Fleming. Now Christoph Sauser goes to second wheel, Nino Schutter in third. Marco Fontana is the next rider along, and then it looks like it's Barry Stander sitting in behind him, and then you have what it looks like Stefan Tempier. Just a little bit of a struggle there for him. Litsch is starting to lose contact with Moritz Milletz. So as we see Kulhavi in the small complex down by the four-cross track, no sign of Absalon. There he is right now. So that is a bit of a gap that he's managed to pull out. It was 19 seconds at the end of the last lap and 20 seconds of the lap before that. So we have to wait and see now what the gap is, but I would think that's probably gone out to about 30 to 35 seconds. Going to be